Welcome back to Build for Health, where we pull back the curtain on what it takes to build a strong, healthy body and a fitness routine that sticks. I'm Pete Wright, here with Srdjan, Injac. And today we're talking about a subject we've all wrestled with at some point. Well, probably not Srdjan, but definitely me, fad diets. Why do they sound so good? Why do they promise so much and yet leave us more frustrated than fit? To help us unpack the science, the strategy, and the straight-up reality behind various fad and crash and weirdo diets, we are joined by an incredible guest, Misty Lohn. Misty is a family nurse practitioner, medical weight loss expert, and owner of Carpe Omni Med Spa, with training from Harvard Medical School and over 15 years in leadership roles across clinical and community health. She brings a uniquely powerful perspective to the conversation, one that blends deep medical knowledge with real-world patient care and business savvy. Together, we are asking, what is the actual cost of chasing rapid results? What does sustainable weight loss look like? And how can we help people find a path that's built for their actual lives, not just that summer wardrobe? Let's get into it. Srdjan, I think you've been nervous about this conversation. Am I calling you out?
No, not really. I'm excited.
Because I think you said to me, sir, you said, I think she's going to come on and we're going to fight about stuff. I hope we don't fight about stuff. This
one, I hate these diets.
This one we're good on.
I can't wait.
Misty, welcome. So glad to have you here and to talk about this stuff. When we just kick us off, set the table. What's going on with fad diets? What do you run into right now in the space of extreme diets, juice cleanses, ultra low calorie plans, caloric restrictions? Like, there are just a lot of buzzwords around there. What are you running into, and what do we need? What are some red flags?
What I'll start out with, Pete, is oftentimes when we get into fad diets, we're looking at an elimination of one of the macronutrients that people need to stay healthy. So when I say macronutrients, I'm meaning proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So a lot of the fad diets that are out there are ketogenic diets where people are eating mostly proteins and fats. We have low carb diets and the like. The list goes on and on and on. But when we get into those fad diets, what we see oftentimes is people aren't eating enough of the nutrients, the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that they need to sustain health and be healthy for a very long time. And, do the pretty things that we like, build muscle and look good in our clothes when we're walking out on the street.
So, okay. So you're talking about you're going to have to explain it to me like I'm 10. These keto people are talking about keto all the time. Keto diet, keto this, keto that. So keto is just like a super high protein diet. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Super high protein, high fat diets with
high protein, high fat. That seems like high jump, low ceiling. Like those two things. I don't know. It feels like there's just all kinds of ways to screw up your body on that kind of a diet.
Correct. Yes. There are people in the community that thrive on those diets. And that is, people that have neurological issues that actually thrive on those ketogenic diets. But for the main part of the population, it's not something we want to see a patient doing long term for health reasons.
That's what I'm hearing, is that there is, like, going on these kinds of diets, you're starving your body of something else that's important generally. Okay. How do you find these quick fixes? I want to call them Instagram diets. That might not be fair to diets or Instagram, maybe both. How do these affect hormone balance and things like immunity, other knock-on effects of changing your diet so radically?
Well, I know Srdjan has preached this to me about we need a good, healthy amount of fats in order for our hormones to function correctly within our bodies. I wanted to be more lower fat, and he said absolutely not.
He's such a brute when it comes to that too, right?
He really is. And as far as what was the other portion of your question? You asked about hormone, and there was
hormones, immunity, but other sort of systemic things we count on for getting out of bed every day.
Yeah, so micronutrients are very important to keeping our immune systems healthy, to be able to be healthy enough to fight off bacteria and viruses and overall disease, both and chronic disease.
And Srdjan, I like how we're talking about him like he's not here. That makes me enormously
No,
satisfying.
I love it. I agree with everything.
Well, it's the other thing that he's fond of reminding me is that he hasn't been sick in years, right? Like just the idea of eating healthy foods and building a strong musculoskeletal sort of system is actually very, very helpful for all these other things that we need. Okay, so Srdjan, let's talk about stories from the gym, right? What do you see with how people function and are able to build strong foundational sort of muscle when they're living on fad diets?
Well, I try to talk to them about having a balanced diet. Like they can't just erase the whole thing, just like and just be on without any carbohydrates. And so make sure that they understand the balance that because they see all these diets and keto diets, and there are so many other ones that they'll keep bringing it up, and some of them that I haven't even heard of yet. Because every year I feel like there's a new diet coming out, and they're always trying new one because apparently the last one didn't work. And I would try to tell them that the last one is exactly the same like the new one. Like nothing changed. They just call it differently. Like 6 ounces of chicken is the same like it was the last day in this one. So nothing changed. And they're always trying to look for that quick fix. So I try to look at their current diet and try to find the problems there. So trying to build like that sustainable diet that they can actually make sure that they can, once they start seeing the results, they can actually hold on to it more. It's more realistic than just following all these different diets because eventually they're going to get off of it. It's not like they're going to stay on there for the rest of their lives. And it wouldn't be good for them. It wouldn't even be healthy for them to do that. So they usually always, every single time, they'll gain more weight back. And what's worse is they're going to lose even more muscle. So they're in a worse position than they were before they started the diet. Because now all the fat is back and now they have even less muscle because they lost all the muscle mass during that diet because they're just looking for the rapid loss of weight. They don't specify what kind of weight when they lose what they're losing because they're so focused on what they need to lose. And people have problem with often they focus on what they need to lose instead of what they need to gain.
Well, that's absolutely counterintuitive, man. Like
So
that's
if
of course.
Because that's the thing that they see when they're in front of the mirror. They see the weight, they see excess of body fat and all that stuff. So they need to lose that, but they're not really looking at the big picture. And try to teach them that if you focus on gaining the muscle, which is your body's medicine pretty much, and everything else will come along with that. So if you learn how to balance your diet, and then I go through their diet, see what I can fix, things to take out, things to put in, look at their portions and stuff like that. Because all these diets, they're going to put them in a huge, huge calorie deficit because they're already eating so much food and their calories are like through the roof. So of course, they're going to start losing all this weight and drop a lot of weight, suddenly, which is also not good. It's hard on your body when you lose that much weight. So just trying to talk to them about how to build their own. And, I try to work with them because, certain people like certain foods and stuff like that. So I try to incorporate some of that stuff so it's sustainable. Once they start losing the weight, they can actually maintain that.
I feel like this is all this counterintuitive stuff, this like cognitive dissonance that we're creating in just this conversation and broadly the desire to lose weight. We have to be able to exist in the space where losing weight is not the same as getting healthier.
I think that is a fair assessment. And just to piggyback on what Srdjan was saying, I think when we use the word diet, it definitely has a negative connotation to it in my mind. And
very shame-filled,
to really focus more on using terminology like nutritional plan or nutritional approach with the people I work with. So we're looking at it more of a lifestyle change that's sustainable than a diet that, like Srdjan was saying, you can only sustain those for so long. And really encompassing their overall health challenges that they're experiencing, with disease, being overweight and being obese can often lead to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, osteoarthritis. We see I think the latest statistics are like 3/4 of people with osteoarthritis. It's contributed to obesity. With coronary artery disease, we're up to like 80% of those patients with cardiovascular issues can be contributed to obesity and being overweight and just poor lifestyle. So when we talk about it as a lifestyle approach and incorporate good nutritional balance and movement, we can get really profound effects on positive outcomes with people.
I want to jump back into a couple of questions around the specific diets, because I know that, we talked about keto. Where do you stand, or I guess I should say, are there specific risks physically, mentally around diets like caloric restriction, where we're just not going to eat as much?
Well, I think that has to be done wisely, right? We need to look at the patient individual, or I say patient, Srdjan uses a different terminology. We need to look at those people as individuals, where their current status is, what's their goal, what's their overarching goal, and how do we safely get them there? So when we just say caloric deficit, I know I'm not talking about 1,200 calories or 800 calories, which is oftentimes how people approach a calorie deficit. It's very unhealthy.
That's what TikTok told me.
Yes, that's what TikTok will tell you. You're missing vital nutrients and vital macronutrients to maintain muscle and be healthy overall.
Yeah. Okay, Srdjan, when you look at these diets, I'm thinking again specifically about these diets, these like crash diets, caloric deficit based diets. How, like, people come to the gym, they have the same goal, right? Lose weight. Shouldn't I be able to, or what is the impact on my ability to train when I'm also trying to navigate this kind of diet? Do you see it? Are people who are on these diets even coming into the gym?
Oh yeah, they're trying to come in the gym, and so whenever they come to the gym and they tell me what their goal is in losing weight, and I start talking about nutrition, because like I said, I also don't like calling it diet, because a lot of people, they ask me, when they see me eating like healthy food, they're like, "Oh, what's your diet?" I'm like, it's not a diet. Just because I'm eating healthy doesn't mean I'm on a diet. I just eat food. I just eat healthier food. It's not the diet. I'm not on any kind of diet. So when I tried talking about nutrition, they were like, "Oh, I got that." I'm like, "So you got that covered? You good?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm following this diet." So they think that that's going to fix, and then they're just going to come in and I'm just going to train them, and that's going to fix the problem. So when I look at these diets and they're like really low calorie, like Misty said, that they were between like 800 to 1,200 calories, I'm like, that is so low. I mean, I know my breakfast is 1,200, so I eat their daily calorie intake in one meal. So, and then
nobody wants to think about you eating, man. Like, let's get that picture out of your head. Remember, you just eat frozen chickens.
Dude. Oh yeah, I remember that. But nutrients and all that stuff that they're missing on. So I try to explain why they don't work, and they're just kind of. It almost looks like I crushed all their dreams. It was just like, because they're looking for the fast fix. When they come to me, they're almost looking like that, like I have a magic pill that I'm going to give them, and then they're just going to lose all that fat, and it's just going to be fat. That's all they think, that it's just going to be fat. So trying to explain how that works, like, they'll be a little disappointed, but I'm trying to be realistic with them. So, because I don't want to set them up for the failure, because they're going to be disappointed, and it's going to be, you told me this and you told me that, but it didn't happen. And of course, so I try to be real with them, let them explain, let them know that how it works. And they're a lot of times disappointed, because they were hoping, because they hear from all these commercials and stuff like that, you can do this and do that. And They say like, they'll post the pictures of some models and stuff like how they lost weight. I'm like, it's not real. Like, don't look at that. They think they can do that. They'll sometimes print the picture. They're like, I want to look like this. I'm like, hold on. It's not really how it's going to.
I'd give you a wide berth on that, but I do feel like, you say, is there a magic pill? If it were 2-3 years ago, maybe we'd say, no, it's not real, but kind of don't people imagine, hey, there's always Ozempic, right? There's always this class of GLP-1 drugs that actually kind of look like magic for people who've been struggling for a long time. So I guess from an overall fitness perspective, Misty, you want to comment on what these drugs do? Could they be considered in this category of, I don't want to say fad diets. It seems like it's more than a fad, but maybe I'm misinterpreting it.
Yeah, no, I have a tendency to look at those much differently than being a fad diet, if you will, or putting it in that category. I look at them as a tool in the toolbox. So just as healthy nutrition and just as having a good exercise plan that involves, some cardiovascular exercise as well as some weight training, medications such as GLPs can be an effective tool to get people headed in the right direction. But first of all, I think before we go to those medications, which we often do, I prescribe them. I also prescribe other types of medications, but whatever medication we're talking about, my goal as a clinician is to set the expectation that, yes, we have this tool, but also we're going to use the tool while we're changing our lifestyle habits, while we're working on healthy nutrition, while we're working on getting a good, solid physical plan in place, and setting the expectation that, yes, these GLP-1s work wonderfully in helping get fat off the body, help reduce weight. They also help in other ways. They have some cardiovascular benefits and things, but it's really setting the expectation that we're going to start slow on those medications. We're going to work hard on changing your lifestyle. We're going to modify some lifestyle choices that you're making so that long term you can be successful.
I want to talk a little bit about making movement meaningful in this process, right? Because, if we're operating under the assumption that getting healthy is not the same as losing weight, then maybe our goals should be refined from, hey, I just want to lose 10 pounds fast, to like, let's focus on some other goals that are more sustainable, more meaningful than the wedding coming up around the corner. So, Srdjan, how do you think about this when people come to you and express a goal that is might be short-term, sort of targeted? How do you guide? How do you refocus on in your view, the important stuff?
Well, I tell them what actually is going to happen if they do that. If they lose quickly, that they can actually quickly gain all that back. And then when they say, I want to lose weight, so I'm like, what do you mean by that, lose weight? You want to lose fat, or do you mind losing some muscle? Because if you go that fast, you might lose some muscle. So they usually think they're just going to lose fat. So you have to explain that it's not just going to be fat. And if you go that fast, most people can't even lose that fast because they would have to be like so strict on everything. And with the busy lives, they can't really be that strict. And they'll usually come to me because they have like a wedding or they have a vacation coming up, and they'll come to me when there's really no time. There are so many other things that I have to help them to focus on, like when it comes to working like their form, making sure they're not getting hurt and they don't injure themselves during this process and all that stuff. So
if anything is going to happen when you're in a rush to lose weight, you're likely going to be in a rush in the gym.
Exactly. They're going to try to push themselves a little too hard, and it's going to be too hard their body, and they're not used to that kind of, their body's not used to that kind of stress and all that stuff. So they might easily hurt themselves. So I'll tell them, how about we set the more realistic goal? So try to find something that's more realistic, that they'll be able to sustain that. And then we're like, well, when you come back, then we can start working on other things and things like that. So I just tell them like, it's not really going to happen the way you imagine, the way you think it's going to happen. And it's definitely not if you're going to go do it a healthy way, because it's definitely not going to be the healthiest for your body, and, losing all these nutrients and minerals that your body needs. So like, I really have to sit down and talk to them about that and set up more realistic goals. And, they'll go with it. They understand it, because I explain it in a way that it actually makes sense to them. So, yeah.
Let's run down just some quick ones. And we've talked before on this show about why preserving muscle mass is so crucial for metabolic health, right? Especially in weight loss. And I want to give you the floor, Misty, to kind of reflect on that question. How do you describe that in a way that is appropriate for medical professionals to talk about?
I think, muscle mass is key to longevity, just plain and simple. I have a background in geriatric medicine. That's been primarily where I've worked. And what I have seen is if you don't keep your body strong, you will lose the ability. If you fall on the floor, you won't be able to get yourself up. If you have a major surgery, a knee surgery, hip surgery, because you have fallen, you won't be able to recover well. The disparity between a really fit 82-year-old and an 82-year-old that doesn't lift at all is huge. Typically, people who have maintained muscle health throughout their adult life to some degree do much better. They have typically less medications that they take. They're not only physically well, but they're mentally well, because they're still able to get out and socialize and do all the things that they love still.
What's going on inside my body with increased muscle development? I'm thinking about things like, the things that they tell you about is like, you got to watch your sugars. You've got insulin sensitivity. You've got inflammation. Dear God, the inflammation talks, they're all over the place. And of course, broad energy levels. But for those key elements that we're really watching as we age, what's going on when I'm going to the gym? How am I helping to cement the barricades around long-term health from those invaders?
Yeah, specifically with inflammation and insulin sensitivity. Once you start working those muscles, your body, you're going to be sore, right? But your body's going to adapt and it's going to utilize the sugar that's floating around in your body, thus reducing inflammation as a direct result of that. So you're kind of getting a bang for your buck with those two particular things, because you're reducing high sugar levels in your blood, and you're reducing the inflammation and reducing your overall risk for chronic disease.
Yeah. All of that just sounds really good. And yet, Instagram says that there's a shortcut that I can take. So I recognize the balance of trying to figure out, like, it just seems so trustworthy. That's why we're here talking about this stuff. And it's something that Srdjan has been talking about for a long time. The way we work out doesn't have to appear like a shortcut to actually make results. Like, the old ways work. Lift heavy things, do it often, build strength. Seems pretty smart. I want to do a rapid fire for you both. And we'll just see. But I don't want you to take a lot of time to, like, give me a monologue here. We're just doing quick answers. I want one fad in your practice that drives you absolutely crazy. Somebody comes in and says, and offers you something they're doing that's a fad, and it drives you crazy. What is it, Misty?
One meal a day.
Oh my God. One meal a day. That drives me crazy. I don't even know how to say why. That drives me crazy right now. Okay. Eat more calories, I guess, is the answer to that, right? Come on. Okay. Srdjan.
So this is the one that drives me crazy. All those like that feel like they're all similar, the same. I can't pick one. But what really makes me mad, because I know a few people that did liposuction to get rid of their fat. And just use a liposuction, and it did not work once. And they spend so much money. They go through all this. They put their body so much stress. And every time when I ask them, would you do it again? They're like, no, I wish I've never done it. Every single time. Those are the one life sessions. That's what gets me the most when they start saying that they're thinking about doing it because they can't do it any other way. The diets won't work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they go into liposuction. And it's just, that's what, gets me.
Okay, next question. One thing, starting today, people listening to this show, what is one thing you would recommend every listener stop doing today? Misty.
Focus on building a supplement stack.
What's in my supplement stack? What is that? I don't even know what that is. I can't build one. I don't know what it is.
I'm on Instagram or TikTok or any of the above. You'll notice that people, creatine, great. I highly advocate creatine. I love it. Protein powders, protein drinks. Okay. Yeah. And that's about it. But you will see people building a supplement stack that is just insanity. They'll start with, pre-workout and all the things, and they just keep going and going all day long. And you have to stop and think about that. If you look at the ingredients on it and you think about all the toxin your liver has to work on clearing through in order to even get to doing good stuff like building muscle, like keeping healthy. It's a lot.
Okay. All right. Supplement stack. Srdjan, one thing every listener should stop doing today from your perspective.
I have to agree with that, but stop following all these diets. If something sounds too good to be true in fitness and nutrition, it usually is. The real solution is not a quick fix. It's building the habits you can actually stick with. So balanced meal, consistent movement, sleep, all patient, all it's just, if it's, everything that's flashy, it's not sustainable. So focus on your protein intake. I said creatine. I've been trying to talk to a few of my clients about that, and they just don't want to listen.
Oh no.
I know.
Fools they may be. All right. Detoxes. You hear a lot of detox. I'm doing a cleanse. Do you recommend cleanses? Why or why not, Misty?
No. Absolutely. No. Your body's smart. It knows how to cleanse itself. Stay away from the detox cleanse.
Okay,
that's fair. Srdjan, do you have a counterpoint?
I agree.
Okay.
No, I agree totally. I've never done it. Not once. My whole life.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people that they wanted to do it and they're like, let's do it together. I'm like, no, I don't need that. No.
Okay.
Just like
your individual relationship with carbohydrates. Where do you stand on carbohydrates? Friend or foe? Misty.
Definite friend. I
Definite
love
friend.
Carbohydrates. Yeah. I enjoy like all the fruits things and the vegetables. Srdjan does not like vegetables. He will tell you that. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
I eat a lot of
fruits.
I get a lot of fibers from the fruits. I know.
Listen to how defensive he gets over vegetables.
I get a little lazy. I'll eat them. It's not I don't like it. I just sometimes I don't have time. So
you ever see what happens when you approach Dracula with a cross? Just approach Srdjan with a cucumber.
Yeah.
Just wait. He starts to smoke. Okay, Srdjan, what's your relationship with carbs?
I love carbs. You need carbs to build muscle as well. So I enjoy carbs and give me energy, and I'm all about it. I'm like,
wrap it up. We're at our time. Wrap it up for us. People listening, they like you've already used the words. I've tried everything. I've tried every single thing out there, and nothing works for me. If you had to saddle them with one sort of shift in their mindset, one thing they could practice as a mantra that they could get out of this conversation we just had, what would it be? What is the thing you'd like people to walk away with? Misty?
I would like them to focus on eating sustainably, a balanced diet, so they can enjoy food and have the energy to work out and be healthy in birthplace. That would be my key takeaway here.
I like that. Enjoy food. I feel like most of my adult life has been in an antagonistic relationship with food. Food can be a friend. Srdjan?
I always recommend to take the small steps, because don't try to change everything, because it's a lifestyle change. You can't just flip the switch and just change everything. It's not sustainable. That's what all these diets do. They'll completely change your whole diet. And that's why people go back into the eating, their old habits, eating what they like to eat, and then they gain all that weight. So take the small step, take small things out of your nutrition, what you eat now that it's bad for you, and start, replacing it with something more healthier. So start making small steps so you can make build those healthier habits. And then it's going to be more sustainable.
Small steps. I like it. This has been great, you guys. Thank you so much. Misty, I hope that you come back and talk to us again. We have more to talk about. And, where would you like to send people to learn more about the work that you do, Misty?
They can find me at www.carpeomni.com or carpeomnimedspa.com.
carpeomnimedspa.com. Link will be in the show notes. And definitely come check out Elevate Fitness in Hillsboro. It's right there by the pho place. There's pho. You get Fred Meyer's right there. You get your tires changed. It's all really in the neighborhood. So you can check off a lot of things on your list, but also get fit, get healthy, get stronger. We're so glad you joined us today. If you've got questions about training or recovery or how to stop chasing quick fixes and start building something that lasts, we want to hear them. Head to the show notes and click that link that says send a question to the coach, and we'll go ahead and answer it on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe and share. This is how we grow stronger together. Thanks for listening to Build for Health. We'll catch you next week.